And in our first story, police is in a manhunt for persons who shot 2 police officers in the Upper East region. A statement from the police reads that the Ghana Police Service is on a manhunt to identify and arrest robbers who shot 2 policemen yesterday at Payamiria at the outskirts of Binduri in the Upper East region. Also, preliminary investigation has established that the deceased officers were in mufti, which is plainclothes, and on their private motorbike traveling from Bongo to Binduri when they were attacked and their motorbikes taken away. The name of the officers have been withheld as efforts are underway to properly notify their families in line with custom and tradition, and the police administration wishes to express its deepest condolences to the bereaved family, the commander, as well as all officers and men in the region. Their hearts and prayers are with them. And the police also says they would like to assure the general public that the perpetrators of this heinous crime will be arrested and brought to face justice, and they are sure that they will get them. Now let's get the latest from our correspondent Albert. Sorry, Albert, what is the latest following the incident yesterday?
It's been calm this morning, Mamiesi, but you get the sense that people are worried that the situation happening in Boko and the adjoining districts is worsening, and people are afraid that this may just be getting out of hand, or that the government may just be failing to control the situation.
Well, what sense do you get from the police in the area? I mean, 2 of their men have been shot. What's the sense we get from them on this incident?
Well, many of the officers that I have spoken to personally aren't happy about it. I talked to a number of them when this first happened, and they feel that, it is beginning to look like they are there to keep the peace of the area, but are also being targeted. Despite the fact that the Ghana Police Service has communicated that this was a robbery, it just doesn't seem to sit right with many people, because they feel that it may be just because of what happened on Wednesday up to Friday of last week. There may be some linkage. So a lot of them feel that something needs to be done as soon as possible. But then again, the Regional Police Command or the Regional Security Council say that they are investigating, and because of this, they are yet to officially speak on the matter to us.
Thank you so much, Albert. Sorry, we'll still get in touch with you as and when for the latest on this investigation that the police is talking about. Well, we have on the line with us Member of Parliament for Binduri, Isifo Mahmood, with us on this. Honorable, we're grateful for your time on our desk, but barely 3 days after the IGP wraps up a peace mission, this happens. What does this suggest to you?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good morning.
To you. Okay. Good morning to you, and then your entire viewers and listeners as well. Yes. What it means, the question you put before me is that the visit of the IGP to the area is not yielding any positive results. Neither is it showing any sign or symptom of hope going forward. So the state need to relook at it, reconsider other security measures as well, because we all heard what the IGP said. He stated very clear that he was going to leave within Baku in the next 3 days. And so whilst there, he's not expecting to hear any gunshot. But it was still in his presence because the 3 days hasn't elapsed. And not only that, we heard gunshots, but we are seeing and witnessing all manner of gruesome murders, not only residents, but police officers as well. And so it is quite unfortunate, and so there is no hope from the visit of the IGP.
So, I mean, this happened at your backyard. When you heard the information, do you have any details what led to this particular incident?
I don't have the details, but what I can say is that I have been doing my part. I've been giving indications that we need security presence here. The military need to take control of certain parts of Binduri. But anytime you do, it's either that the response is woefully inadequate, or in some places they don't pay attention at all. And so the killings keep occurring. And so once it happens that continuously, the residents take the law into their own hands. Everybody now uses every available resource at his or her disposal to acquire a firearm to protect himself. In some cases, they feel that, yes, they suspect certain group of people that has murdered their relative. And so they go about trying to revenge as to whether those they are orchestrating the revenge on them are the very people who had actually killed their relatives is another thing. And so the more the killings happens, the more the situation gets out of hand. And I'm not surprised we are where we are now.
How does this incident, turn around how the police work in the region, in your area as well? I mean, you've talked about getting more boots on the ground, but with the current or the recent incident, we do not know really the factors leading to that. We understand it was an armed robbery attack, but really it comes at a time that so much is happening. How does this affect the security in the area?
Yes, it's affecting the security a lot, because you recall that last week when the police shot and killed the youth leader, the youth had gone rampage. They have vandalized every police checkpoint, visibility point, wherever the police used to sit, and then ensure that the security on our roads, on our neighborhood, and the likes have been destroyed, with the exception of the main police stations. That is the Boku Municipal Police Station and that of the Binduri police stations. And even with that, they are also under 48 or 24-hour surveillance or guide by the military. So the police are unable to do anything of their own as far as that area is concerned. And so once the police services is more or less withdrawn or suspended for now, one would have expected that more military men would have been deployed to cover up the very places that were mounted by the police to ensure there is security in the area. And that has not been done. You go to Binduri, where for the past 1 month now, day in, day out, the good day is that you record either one person killed or one house burnt. In the bad day, we have about not less than 2 to 5 people killed. Yesterday, for instance, I think the death toll was around 2 in the night. The following morning, the death toll was around 7. And yet you go to the Binduri district and you are seeing only 2 armored vehicles. And that is a district that has a vast land. So how does 2 armored vehicles alone ensure there is security in such a place?
Well, let me come in.
So that is the challenge.
Right. But we often hear about incidents in Boko. What role or how key is the issue affecting Binduri? What's the issue with Binduri?
Now, I can tell you that apart from the police whether accidentally or recklessly killing the young man in Baku. We have not recorded any incident in Baku for the past 1 month now, but everything is now centered in Binduri. Yes, everything is centered in Binduri as a result of the spillover from Baku municipality. And so it is all about the chieftaincy and the tribes. And so people have taken advantage and go after their enemies, whatever form of enemy that they have between their victims, one cannot tell, all in the name of the tribal or chieftaincy issue. And what is more disturbing and very regrettable is that in Binduri, there is no chieftaincy issue there, just that we have Mampusi, Musi, and other minority settlers there. These are people who, many of them have even submitted themselves to the authority of the Kusasi or the Binduri chief there, but the state has failed to protect them. There's a particular community that we call Bunyoko. Every night and then for the past 1 month now, there will be a killing there. There will be a burning of a house, foodstuffs, and other things there. And yet the military or the state cannot even provide a 24-hour.
But Honorable, here's the case that 2 policemen have been killed in Binduri and a civilian.
Yes.
Do you think, considering the circumstances, they'll be willing to bring men there?
Yes, the state has to some extent allowed it. You cannot say if there was enough security, that killing would have even taken place in the first place. So because of lack of security, the security officers was to some extent they rode in to Binduru on the motorbike. They were somehow kidnapped, taken to another location or destination where they were finally murdered in that gruesome manner. So you calculate where they entered Binduri, the distance at which they took them to, and finally killed them. And if those who are perpetrating this act was aware that in moving 1 kilometer, in moving 10 meters, there will be a police or a military patrol team. There will be a checkpoint. And so that fear naturally will be there. But we don't have such. This is what we are complaining about. Even in Baku Central Municipality, where the imposter chief is creating the problem, you go there and security is very tight. You can't do anything. Anybody who even intend to go there and cause a mayhem cannot, because of the presence of security. So where the very imposter chief is even creating problem. The state has marshaled all its resources to protect such a person.
Well,
and here we are, innocent people in my constituency are killed, burnt, houses, everything. People are fleeing for their lives.
Well, you are a member of parliament for the area. You're a member of parliament for the area. What steps have you taken so far and to ensure that your constituents are, protected?
Yes, I keep calling for calm, telling them not to take the law into their own hands. At the same time, calling on those who are responsible, the state security, to beef up security in the area. Sometimes we give them the direction. Make sure that at least even the 1 or 2 armored vehicles that you have, station them here. If not, in the next hour, something serious will happen. They will just blatantly disregard your directive, move, and in the next 30 minutes, the next 1 hour, there is exchange of gunfire there. You'll be calling them to come back on time from wherever they might have gone to control the situation. They come back as and when they want. They come back as and when the perpetrators has succeeded in killing those that they have targeted, leave before they come at their own time. This is the challenge we are facing.
Well, so just before I let you off, we understand that the Asantehene is leading mediation talks, between the feuding factions, at least to bring some resolution to the dispute over there. Do you know of the current status of that mediation talks?
I don't know of the current status of that mediation, but what I can say is that having served in the police service for many years, having served in many peacekeeping operations locally, I am afraid if we don't deploy enough military men in Minduri and wherever other districts that are likely to be affected to control the situation, the outcome of the Otumfo mediation may not give us the results that we've been waiting for. And so, yes, we need to control, have a peace in the area before we even expect the results of the Otumfo mediation. That is what I can say as far as that mediation is concerned.
And how is RegSec ensuring that this is done? Have you heard from the regional minister on this? How to, contain the local issues that's happening there?
It's unfortunate to say this. For the past 1 month now, for the day-in, day-out killing, for all the mayhem, we, the residents of Binduru, are yet to set our eyes on the regional minister as far as the killings in our constituency is concerned. We are yet to see him.
Have you called him at least on the phone or something?
We don't know. Come again?
Have you called him at least?
Yes, sometimes you call him, you can't reach him. Sometimes, the last time before some of these incidents even took place, I engaged him, pointed out the hotspot, that we need to have military here, we need to have this, we need to have that. And all those has fallen on deaf ears. Is the regional police commander who is up and doing, he comes, we go there, try to deploy before we realize the matters get out of hand. The military commander to some extent is doing his best, but because of the inadequate personnel and considering the vast area, the 2 or 3 military personnel are unable to do much.
Right.
And so the little they can do is to ban the use of motor, being it a tricycle, wearing of smoke and whatever, like they've just done. But, well, we are looking for peace. We are looking for all manner means and ways that government can do to bring back peace, to protect innocent lives, because people are fleeing the town. You go to the Binduru central area there, and the entire community has been deserted. And so why will you wait when the signs were all clear? We have been complaining for us to get to where we are now, and before you are taking these measures.
Right. We are grateful for your time here, Honorable. He's the MP for Binduri. And that's how we wrap that conversation on the incident or killings that happened yesterday, the killings of 2 police officers and a civilian. Now, moving on, electricity and water tariffs will go up next month. That's according to the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, which has announced an adjustment in the average end-user tariff for electricity by 14.75% and water by 4.02% across the board for all categories of consumers. PURC says this increment is in line with its quarterly tariff review mechanism as outlined in its rate-setting guidelines for the periodic adjustments of natural gas, electricity, and water tariffs. Now let's engage Ishmael Ejekumhene, energy analyst and executive director of Kind Ghana. We're grateful for your time, Ishmael, here on the desk. First of all, what's your reaction to this increment? Unmute for us, please.
Can you hear me?
Better now.
Yes, so I don't have any reaction. It's something that is expected. This, like the name indicates, it's a quarterly adjustment. It used to be called automatic adjustment, but now it's a quarterly adjustment. And so long as the regulator is doing its work in setting the tariffs, these are bound to happen every quarter, unless somebody decides to absorb the under recoveries that may be occasioned by the macroeconomic indicators. So I knew it was due, and I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Looking at the numbers, what for our viewers who may not understand, even me, the calculations that go into this, increments, what goes into it? What goes into them for them to be increased to these percentages?
Okay, so there are three main indicators, three main variables that are taken into account: the CD to dollar exchange rate, the projected inflation, and the hydrothermal mix. That's what is usually taken into account when we're doing this adjustment. This is the reason why these factors are important. You recall, or you may be aware, that even though you and I pay our tariffs in Ghana cedis, when the distribution utilities, who are the end of the value chain, when they collect these cedis from you and I, they're supposed to pay the power producers in USD because the contracts are all in USD. So what the quarterly adjustment does is that, okay, because we cannot project into the future, for every quarter, we say that we expect that the exchange rate, for example, will be, say, 16 cedis to the US dollar. So at the end of the quarter, you basically take stock to see whether indeed you were right in your projection or not. If for any reason you projected 15 and turned out to the outturn is 16, then there is an under recovery. So if you read the PRC's report, they are saying that based on the projected exchange rate for Q3 of 2024 compared to the current exchange rate, there is an under recovery of, I think, 17 pesos or so. So when you factor that in, and depending on how inflation is trending, and whether indeed there's a change in the generation mix, prices may either stay the same, go up, or come down. But something that the regulator is talking about, which usually you don't find them say, is the fact that in the previous quarters, there were some under recoveries that were not passed through. But these under recoveries, they are trying to pass them through. So 50% of those under recoveries have also been added to this current tariff. And if they had attempted to recover all of that, the increment would have been higher than the 14.75 that we're seeing. So this is what basically goes into the determination of whether or not the tariff should stay the same, should or go up or be reduced.
Well, looking at the percentage increments, 14.75 for electricity, 4.02 for water, quite a steep difference between the two. Why do you think that is? Why is water so low and electricity that high? Could we link that to the challenges that the ECG is facing?
No, the electricity is a major input in water production. In fact, 30% of Ghana Water's operating expenses is as a result of the input factor, which is energy. So once electricity prices are going up, by all means, water tariff will also have to be changed because the input cost. Ghana Water too has its own operating expenses, and energy is very crucial. It's about 30% of that. So when you calculate the impact of the energy prices on the operating expenses, and you take into account, in the case of Ghana Water, it's mainly the changes in inflation, because they don't import a lot, and most of their inputs are usually procured in Ghana city. So if you check the trend, the increment in water doesn't always match. In fact, it cannot match that of electricity. The electricity, the import factor, the input, the variables are critical, and you must of necessity adjust that. But let me just also say that this is just a quarterly adjustment.
Right. And
this year is supposed to be a major tariff. There's supposed to be a major tariff review, which might result in a more significant increase in tariffs. depending on the proposals that the utilities are going to submit to the regulator.
That's interesting because even now people are complaining that they're not getting their, service worth, even when the ECG or the PURC keeps increasing utility tariffs. For instance, yesterday the lights were off right from the evening till now. Many areas have still not received electricity. People are asking, with a continuous increase in tariffs, how do they get their service worth? How do they hold them accountable?
See, this has always been the issue, the chicken and egg situation. The truth of the matter is that reliability and availability and the cost of the service are not usually related. Already, we factored, I keep saying we, I've forgotten that I'm no longer on the board. The commission normally would, the commission normally, you see, there's a way in which we need to delink the two. Let's take the example, the classic example that you cited. Yesterday, people's lights or some areas have been off. But those areas, when the lights are off, you are not supposed to be paying for the outage, okay? I'm not saying the lights should be off, but it doesn't change the cost of supplying electricity to your home. So even if you have electricity for, let's say, 12 hours, the unit cost of production is still the same. It doesn't change. So yes, service quality should be checked and needs to be improved, but it's always this issue of which comes first. The utilities will say they need more money to be able to change all these things that are causing the outages. But where do they get the money to invest? Normally, when you're doing a major tariff review, you can make allowances for when they submit their infrastructure investment plan. If they say they need about 300 million or 500 million cedis to be able to improve the service quality.
This is the situation. I buy prepaid. This is not postpaid. Prepaid, I'm supposed to have my, power worth. And here's a case, my lights goes out.
I agree.
So what explanation will they be giving me on that?
Okay, your light is going out because there are a number of, and again, maybe we should call the regulator or call the utilities to explain this.
Right.
But you see, there's a contract between you and ECG, okay? You have a contract, they're supposed to deliver service. And the truth of the matter is that UCG, they have no incentive to turn off your light because that's their business. It's like you selling mineral water. There are people there, you have a demand, you have somebody who's paid you upfront, and you can't supply. UCG doesn't have any motivation to take your light out if the system is holding. So there must be a reason why somebody who sells power to you, and even though you pay the person upfront, will not be able to supply the power. There are technical challenges within the value chain. And because some of our equipment and all our machinery, they are not up to scratch, these things are bound to happen. That's why the regulator, for example, has some regulatory benchmark and say that if somebody, you are not supposed to experience an outage for, let's say, a given number of hours within a month or within a year. Those benchmarks the utilities report on, and they are almost always not able to meet those regulatory benchmarks. The problem here is that when the regulator decides to sanction the utility, it comes back to us because in the same way, for example, the previous board fined ECG for some irregularities, right? Yeah. ECG will almost always find a way of adding it to the operating expenses, so we then end up paying for their own inefficiencies. The problem as it is now is that it's the same government entity that is regulating another government entity. When PURC decides to send ECG, for example, to court, the Attorney General is supposed to come and represent the ECG as well as the PURC. So, yes, sanctions will have to be exacted when those regulatory benchmarks are not being complied with.
Right.
But what sanctions can you impose on them? It comes back to government, seeming government, and that's the challenge. But the service quality will have to be improved. But when we say that unless quality improves, the tariffs should remain where they are,
right,
we're going to end up having more under recoveries, and it will come back to us. Bonds are going to be issued, and you and I will still have to pay for that. I don't support the outages, but unfortunately, it's what it is. They are what they are at the moment.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ishmael Jacob Hene. He's with Kite Ghana. And moving on, government has launched a Feed Ghana program to boost food production, reducing the country's dependence on imports and creating jobs across agriculture-related sectors. How will this work out? Let's engage Bright Demoji, Program Coordinator for Feed Ghana, and he's here with me in the studio. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
And we heard the president launched this program in Techiman over the weekend. Really, how is this going to work out? Let's ask you. What's the plan?
Yes, this is integrated, accelerated agriculture initiatives that basically is to boost productions, to feed Ghanaians, feed industry, and export.
Indeed.
As a result, we'll create jobs, especially in the agro-processing or agribusiness area. You see, the Feed Ghana program basically is the major initiative of this government to ensure that there is a complete transformation of our economy. So what it means is that government want to rely on the productivity of agriculture sector to transform our economy in general. Yes, we have several anchor programs under the Feed Ghana programs.
Okay.
The first one is what we call the smart agriculture. Under the smart agriculture, our focus is to ensure that we establish something we call the farmer service centers. And these farmer service centers are the key drivers of the Feed Ghana program. We are going to establish farmer service centers across all districts in this country, crop producing districts in this country. And under the farmer service centers, we have all the ingredients that you need to be able to modernize agriculture. For instance,
service centers.
Farmer service center.
What is farmer service center?
Farmer service center
yes.
is a comprehensive agriculture center that is going to provide all services for those in agriculture and in agribusiness.
Right.
So, for instance, if we're going to establish, for instance, we have established one farmer service center in Techima. There's going to be something we call agriculture mechanization services.
Right.
What it means that we want to modernize agriculture. And if you want to modernize agriculture, the key component of it is mechanization, where you will not use maybe cutlasses and hoes and all that. So there will be tractors, there will be combine harvesters, there will be boom sprayers,
and these centers,
and there will be planters.
Okay, so these centers will be stationed where? In regions where farmers will have access to these equipment or seedlings?
The focus is that we want to establish farmer service centers across all districts. Okay. At least every district will have one key farmer service center in the district.
Okay. Well,
so the agriculture mechanization centers will serve as a land preparation mechanism for all the districts. So if you are a farmer, you can just go there for all the, there will be tools, there will be irrigation equipment at the farmer service, the agriculture mechanization service centers. Then we move on to something we call the input warehousing systems, where all input, like in those days, you need to request for input from Accra. If you need fertilizer, they have to move the fertilizers from Accra to all the districts and all that. No, every district will have the input warehousing, where the fertilizers, the hybrid seeds, quality seeds, everything, veterinary drugs and all that will be at the input warehousing center. Then if you are a farmer, you don't have money, you have a problem, there's a specific person who will manage that particular facility in collaboration with the local authorities. That's why we are not doing this alone. We're going to involve, there's going to be involvement of the local, the district assemblies will get involved. The farmer organizations will get involved in the management of the farmer service centers. Then, so if you're a farmer, assuming that you wanted to do a farm in a Techiman and there's a farmer service center there, there's going to be something we call the agriculture extension officers.
So we'll come to that.
Yes.
But all these services that you're talking about, are they for free?
For AMSEC, Agriculture Mechanization Service, it's not going to be for free. It's going to be something we call the input credit service, we call it innovative agriculture financing, where if you're a farmer, you go to the center and say that, okay, I have 20 acres or 20 hectares of land, I want mechanization services. So there's going to be a concord, an agreement between you and the managers of the center. So they will go and take care and clear the costs involved at a subsidized rate for you. Then it will be input somewhere. So at the end of the day, all the services will provide it, because even at the time of harvesting, you have to come back. We call it pre-processing facilities. So there will be pre-processing facilities at the service centers where you come. So when you come, you don't need to worry yourself if you're a rice farmer, where am I going to get combine harvested at the end of the season to harvest my rice? You come, there'll be a facility and equipment for you to go and harvest, clean it and bag it very well.
Okay.
If you want to sell it at the center, there is a warehousing in collaboration with the buffer stock and grain Ghana Commodity Exchange. There's going to be a ready market for your produce. So it's a comprehensive center where all agricultural services and the market linkages will be well established.
So I also heard the president say that you're going to include schools, the senior high schools and whatnot, to engage in these farming activities as well. What's the structure for that?
The structure for that is that if you are one of the core anchor of this Feed Ghana program is to involve everybody. That's why we are saying that we are calling on institutions, secondary schools, tertiary institutions, services like the prison service, police service, anybody can come on board. And we are saying at the district agriculture service centers or at the district agriculture offices, we are doing registration of all those.
So the schools will have to come on their own accord, or you are reaching out to the schools to, encourage them
because currently we don't know whether you have the land available.
So you're not going to scout?
Even though there's a program to establish the farm banks, but it will take some time for us to complete the farm banks, where we can tell you that, okay, maybe in Techima or in Kranza or in Aflau or in Keta, there's a land here, or the use, or if you're interested in the farmer, you can come for allocation. We have not completed those processes yet. So if you have a land, you are a secondary school, you have the land, you have to walk to the district agric office and say that, yes, we are a school, you have this number of acres of land, then you do an input requirement. Then through that, you will be supplied with the seed and the input that you need to be able, like what we did to the University of Ghana and the Kwame Nkrumah Science and Technology and the Prison Service during the launch. They are in some MOU with the Feed Ghana program. We have some MOU. So on that day, the president donated some items to the Prison Service, and then the University of Ghana, and then the University of Kwame Nkrumah Science and Technology. They were donated those items. So it is that process. We want people to show the initiative. The program is not for, even though we are implementing the program, the core objective is that people should appreciate the fact that where we are in our development trajectory, there is a need for everybody. If we look at the figures that we are, or the amount of money we are using for food importation alone, is not helping this country.
Exactly.
And all of us, all hands on deck, for us to be able to produce and feed ourselves.
Well, let me come on that bit. It's good that you're doing this, but another concern for many people, especially the health sector, is the type of food that we are growing or going to grow for ourselves. First, what kind of food are we growing? Is it organic or is it GMO? What type of seedlings are we handing over to our farmers or even the schools to grow for ourselves, such that even though in the effort to get us to be self-reliant with concerning food, how healthy are the food that we are growing to consume?
The focus is for us to produce high-quality hybrids, use high-quality hybrid seeds for our farmers so that we can be able to get a
What
yield.
is hybrid seed? Is it organic seed? Is it GMO? What kind of seeds are we planting?
I don't know what we mean by, when we say hybrid seed, they are seed with high yielding values. That's what it means, that seeds that are more drought resistant, seeds that when you are able to plant and do the necessary agronomic practices, you can be able to get the required yield. That's what it means. But the point I made about health and producing organic and inorganic foods is a business initiative where a farmer will say that, okay, I want to go into organic. And you know, when you go to advanced
so why I'm asking this is for us to understand this.
Yes.
You are providing the farmers with certain services as well as seedlings to grow on their farm, making it available, easy for them to access it. What I would like to know is, are we making the options available to them? Yes, you are providing hybrid seeds. Are these hybrid seeds natural organic seeds or they are not?
Okay, they are natural organic seeds. There are inorganic seeds as well as we have, in terms of the fertilizers, we have organic fertilizers and we have inorganic fertilizers. So it's left for you, the farmer, to choose the direction you want to go.
But is it also not a government policy to ensure the health of its citizens in this policy or way that it wants to go? If we are going to consume certain foods that in the long run will bring health hazards, cancers, issues, you know, to the citizens, wouldn't government take another look at that?
Yes, but for production of food, what is key in all is that we ensure that we educate our farmers in appropriate agronomic practices and utilization of inputs. That's how come in the various centers, the responsibility of government is to ensure that we have extension officers at the various communities, at the various farm service centers to educate farmers on how to use this input. Because that is key. If you are using organic or inorganic and you don't follow the appropriate procedures and how effectively you can follow the agronomic practices to ensure effective production, there will always be problems. So one key thing is that we are recruiting about 5,000 agriculture extension officers across the length and breadth of this country to ensure that we educate our farmers. Because farmer education and agronomic practices in this country is one of the major problems of our health situation.
Right.
So education is key. All the things we are discussing concerning whether inorganic and organic, if there's a production on the farm gate and it goes to the farm and there is no identification that this is organic and inorganic, even when you go to our various shops, they don't identify.
They're supposed to be identified.
It's supposed to be, yes.
And so people to make a choice of what goes into their bodies.
Education of our farmers.
Well,
if farmers know that the value of organic foods are higher than that of inorganic, and there's a differentiation, but we must move from that level.
Well,
the level we must move from is that there must be the food in the first place for you to make a choice.
The food that is, well, we'll come to that conversation later. But let me ask you, from our research that we've done, in Ghana, we're losing 762.2 billion in food wastage alone. Are you aware of this information?
Are you talking about post-harvest loss?
It involves in the food chain, so it could be post-harvest losses or even after that. How are you ensuring that we clip that gap in food production such that it's not going to go against Ghana?
Yeah, one major component of our program is warehousing and crop management. That's how come we are saying that if you are a farmer, one thing, you can do all the production, but if during the harvesting time you don't have equipment and the necessary tools to be able to harvest effectively, at that level you lose a lot of produce. Then the next level is even at the point of transportation. That's why we talk about infrastructure, that when we are providing the agro-processing zones, one of the key things is to ensure that you have sufficient infrastructure, even in the area of transportation. Then you come to the warehousing. Management of warehousing and post-harvest management of your crop is also key. So it comes to expertise. If you are an ordinary farmer, you just harvest and put it in your kitchen or somewhere. At the end of the day, before you realize, you can even lose about 50%. But where we have airy and quality warehousing facility, where you can keep your produce, the things you are talking about, there will be a significant reduction in post-harvest loss.
When is this going to roll out? Very quickly, because we're almost out of time, but when is this
Our focus
going
is
to
that
roll out?
Quickly, we are rolling out the building and the construction of the farmer service centers. The drawing and everything is ready. But before then, the season has started. So we will start with something we call the input support scheme. Roughly by the end of the month, the minister will announce the procedure for assessing the input support schemes. Because we are waiting for the establishment.
How much is all this costing government, by the way?
Yes. We put in all the composite figures together. We are doing the comprehensive program on the policy document. And when the policy document... You
still don't have an idea how much this will cost when it's going to roll out in less than a month's time?
No. We have an idea. But the point I'm trying to make
let us
is
know
that
how much.
I want you to get it from the policy document.
At least give us an idea. This is taxpayers' money. You need to be accountable to the people that are paying the taxes.
I'll give you the feedback when we finish the preparation of the document and the total figures are out.
So with this thing rolling out very shortly, quickly, how much food will be coming into the system, and eventually what kinds of foods are we going to cut out of imports?
Yes, our focus is to reduce, to increase cereal production. I'm talking about maize, I'm talking about rice, I'm talking about sorghum, those and the soya beans. So that's our key priority crop that we want to ensure that we increase our production, because the focus is also on poultry. Just that we are not talking about all the details component, like we are talking about the cocoa kitten and all the programs under the poultry revitalization programs. But it looks like we jumped some of the things. We didn't talk about the full component of all the programs.
We wish we could have had more time to go into that. Really, the cocoa kitten has actually caught on.
Yes.
But what will go into that, I don't know, in 30 seconds, can you wrap that up and then we move, because we don't have time?
Yes, one of the major components of the Feed Ghana program is what we call the poultry revitalization program. And one of the major ones is a farm to table concept. We are going to support about 50 of the major anchor farmers. We're going to give them 80,000 beds with all the things that they need to produce in Ghana. Then under it, there's what we call incentivized homes to produce fowls. That is the cocoa.
Thank you so much. So there's more to unravel in this feed program that is being rolled out by government. But you're still watching Desk here on the JoyNews channel. We'll be right back after this break.